Siam, 2015 AD. The city lies in ruins after the 9th nuclear world war. It is a grim future with lots of explosions and partial nudity. A future where an oppressive new king has seized power. Only one man can stop it. No, one machine. I am an automaton nuclear neo-human android. You may call me Anna. I am a robot ninja from the planet England who is here to destroy you and free this land from your tyranny.
I've been expecting you, Anna. Allow me to introduce my Siamese children.
I will not be swayed by your attempts to confuse my programming with your all-female sex orgy. We must kung fu fight!
So be it, Anna.
Hello, welcome to Maison Otaku. Come in, have a seat.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And we're here to talk to you about anime once again.
Yep.
We're doing this often, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't just, like, said f*** it and started just coming over playing video games or something.
Probably should, based on, the opinions of the audience.
Yeah, clearly. But no, we're just gonna start things right off with some very interesting news.
Lots of interesting news.
Yep. This first piece I actually heard from a fellow YouTube uploader, AlphaOmegaSin. I'll leave a link to his video on this in the description, but basically, in Japan, this old lady purchased a old two-story office building. I'm not sure what she wanted it for, but what she wound up with was 2 stories worth of old arcade machines, coin changers, basically a fully functioning arcade in the building.
Imagine, if you will, that wonderful scene in Tron Legacy where the kid walks in and there's all the cabinets covered in dust and with the tarps over them. Imagine that scene, except it's your great aunt Sheila.
Yeah.
And she just wants to clean it all out and open a laundromat.
Yep. And more or less that's what's going down. Although, she did get in touch with someone who's big in the arcade cabinet scene over here, and they're actually going to be shipping them over stateside. In fact, they're currently taking pre-orders on them.
Yeah.
My thing is, though, I'm sorry, I understand she has her reasons, she has her own goals, but if I walked into a building like that after purchasing it and saw all that, I'd just be like, well, I'm self-employed now.
Yeah. I mean, really, you're about 2 deep fryers and a skee-ball machine away from solvency at that point.
Yeah.
And really, that's just one of the really fun things. It's just a fun thing to find out. It's not really anything that's earth-shattering. It's not like we found the long-lost prototype for Pac-Man or anything like that. But it's just a neat new trove of cool old cabinets coming out on the market. What is actually a little groundbreaking. I mean, granted, these things have been done before.
Yeah, but it is still another example of we thought we'd never see this.
Yes. Robotech Academy.
Yep.
Now, this was a project that His Honorable Masicness wanted to take on, but never quite got the financing. Plus, Harmony Gold are a bag of moist dicks.
Well, plus, I mean, he kind of, croaked before he could do anything further with it, which he wanted to do from what I understand. But it's currently a Kickstarter project, which you can fund, and I recommend you do. In fact, they just added a new pledge level where it's a kind of expensive, but basically, if you pledge there, you get an original Robotech to the Sentinels animation cell.
Ooh. So, if you're a cell collector, that'll be a good piece to add to your collection.
But that brings me to why this is so important to do. Yes, it's not going to be quite the same, but we're basically getting the Sentinels. Modern, update, slightly changed, but overall, it's the Sentinels. And that is all the reason you need to fund this.
That, and we're not going to get more Macros over here. We know this. Nobody's digging up Mospeada. Southern Cross is kind of buried as well.
Well, those both got full DVD releases here, but yeah, aside from when they were new at Best Buy, you're not going to... Like, you can eBay them, but that's about it.
Yeah. So, this is our last shot. This is pretty much our last legit chance to prove to the powers that be that, no, they have to keep the genesis of our hobby in circulation in some way.
In some way that's not Shadow Chronicles or the disappointment that was Love Live Alive.
Yes. So, please, if it interests you, which it should, if it is within your means, stop by their Kickstarter, give them a little bit.
Heck, give them $1. Just give them $1 if you can't afford anything else.
Mm-hmm. And while you're there, make sure you send that letter to Discotech about Robot Carnival.
Yes. But now on to some more personal stuff. Justin and myself found some interesting scores.
Oh, absolutely. We keep ourselves on the search, and we love the search. And I got pleasantly surprised this past week because one of the great mecha manga, of which there aren't many, is Kazuhisa Kondo's interpretation of Mobile Suit Gundam 0079, the original Mobile Suit Gundam series. It's great because it's a fresh manga that takes away some of the filler episodes of the classic series, but keeps the art style, keeps the pacing, throws in a little bit more detail, throws in a little bit more tactics. It's a fantastic piece, and I found 2 more volumes. It's very difficult to find. I've only had 1 and 2 to this point. Now I have 1, 2, 7, and 9, and I'm very thrilled about that. And I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for more because it's just such a great read.
Yeah, definitely.
And the history bits they include too. At the end of each volume are timelines, maps, schematics, just cool stuff.
Yep, it's a must-buy for any Gundam fan. Now, my thing isn't anywhere near as awesome or important, but, well, actually it is fairly important to talk about for the stuff we're trying to convey. Picked up this here in the children's section, Pinocchio, let's see, Volume 3 of a series, A Real Little Boy. Now, almost passed this up, but then I remembered some advice I gave to you out there. Looked on the back information. Now, Justin, would you tell the fine folks out there what that copyright says?
Ah, yes. 1991, Saban International Services. Of course. So, I think they fall into the bag of moist dicks category with Harmony Gold.
Yeah.
But right below that, Tatsunoko Production Company Limited.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while that doesn't necessarily make this anime by Tatsunoko, that does make this a Tatsunoko production. And if you don't know Tatsunoko, you're kind of a terrible human being.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've done so many great things. Cashern. They did Tekkaman. And they did my personal favorite of all the Tatsunoko productions, Soultaker.
You would bring up Soultaker.
Well, I'm going to bring up Soultaker. I love Soultaker. If you like a surrealistic art style coupled with a plot that comes together in time with the art style, with heavy metal gospel music for the opener, all wrapped up in a costume superhero show, you'll love Soultaker. Yep. If you have no idea what I just described, you might not be into Soultaker.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about it, is it's under the radar.
Yep. Which brings us into today's topic. we are going to discuss with you a couple things we think that's worth talking about in the category of just some awesome sci-fi pieces that you probably haven't seen and maybe even haven't heard of.
Yeah. So stick with us. It's gonna be fresh to you.
So, as we said, this week we're going to be talking about some really obscure things, and obscure really is the word here.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about especially is just that wonderful 80s obscura that I cannot get enough of.
Oh, absolutely. The sort of things that you used to see padding the back catalog of manga entertainment, U.S. renditions, especially U.S. Manga Corps. I mean, U.S. Manga Corps...
Well, that was their whole catalog, basically.
Yeah. U.S. Manga Corps basically went to Tokyo Bay and threw a net out into the bay.
Yep.
And then whatever DVDs came back in the net, or tapes came back in the net, that's what they chose to release.
Yep. And, I mean, you know, again, going back to one of the first things we talked about, it's all a big treasure hunt. And some of the greatest treasures, you know, the diamonds in the rough, is just this crazy crap you see that no one's heard of, or even better, some of the stuff we're going to talk about that used to be hugely popular, but for one reason or another, people just forgot about.
And that's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover 4 different pieces, each with their own unique reasons for being special, and with their own unique reasons for being left by the wayside. And Mike's going to lead off with one that just plain baffles me.
Yeah. So, starting off with just such a forgotten classic, and that's really what this is. This was a piece that was put out in the early days of Streamline Pictures, and it just captures that, you know, high-budget 80s OVA feel, and it's really a shame that a lot of people forgot about it, but I am, of course, talking about Lily Cat, or Lily C.A.T, however you want to say it. I personally don't care. Do you like 1980s sci-fi action horror movies? Because if you do, this is for you. It's, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, oh, such and such is basically this and sort of that combined. No, there's no basically and sort of about it. It straight up is combine Alien with The Thing, and then make it an anime. And that's this. And at the same time, though, it also has its own originality, its own feel to it, so it still remains very much its own story. The setting is, you know, basic setup you would expect from that description. Group of space travelers have to go into hypersleep for several decades to get to this planet. While they're in hypersleep, an alien boards the ship. Some blah blah blah, something involving, you know, a company with nefarious plans. Shit gets crazy. It's great. And the nice thing is the pacing is just perfect. The atmosphere, well, it manages to maintain that sort of, you know, that tension, that horror atmosphere, but at a pace that doesn't make it boring or just tiresome, that a lot of movies have, you know, went for that and failed. Like I said, the animation quality is actually very good in this. Very good character designs. Actually, interesting thing about it, too, is, well, just the way it became obscure. It's, like I said, this was originally at the forefront of Streamline Pictures. When Streamline went away, the stuff of theirs that wasn't picked up, i.e. that wasn't Akira and a few other things, basically just got left, and as it currently stands, the Streamline Pictures video VHS tape is the only way to get this. So just, you know, there was a lot of, you know, I'm not going to really say hype, but there was definitely a fan base for it. Now, an interesting thing, especially if you've learned anything about me by now, I love everything this movie is. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit I only really saw it about 2 years ago for the first time. And, you know, going back to what we started saying, that's why that treasure hunt is so important. You find stuff that you feel like you've been in love with your whole life, and you almost kind of feel bad that, wow, I'm just finding out about this. But yeah, basically, to sum everything up, if you like, as I said, 80s sci-fi action horror movies and want more of it, but want something that also feels kind of unique, give Lily Cat a watch. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Well, Mike just talked about an anime take on themes explored in The Thing and Aliens. I'm going to talk to you about an anime take on The Terminator. And make no mistake, this is The Terminator. This is Masamune Shirow, noted crazy person and creator of Ghost in the Shell, saying, I want a Terminator movie, but they're not going to let me do a Terminator movie. Also, I want my Terminator to have boobs. Thankfully, this is a better take on that idea than Rise of the Machines. What happened was straight up Terminator story. Lady reporter being chased through several different scenes by an unstoppable killing machine that kind of looked like a mall mannequin. And it was great. It was directed very well by Shinji Aramaki, who of course started his partnership with Shiro with this film, and then went on to work on, as well, Appleseed and Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. So great partnership, very beginnings, fun concept, done well, completely under the radar. Why, you might ask? Well, for all of its Terminator-esque pieces, it's still a little slow, which is great for building tension, and building tension, it's not just an endless stream of explosions. It's Terminator, not Terminator 2. On top of that, it was handled by two different companies. First, US Renditions. US Renditions never really got the hang of promoting anime. Good company at releasing anime, very bad at promoting. Their best idea for the release of Blackmagic M66 was unfortunately a glow-in-the-dark case. And when US Renditions went under, Blackmagic M66 got picked up by Manga Entertainment, who is also somewhat bad at this. Great company. They've done a lot of great releases over the years, but they're just not good at promoting. So what happened? It languished in the back catalog, occasionally getting airplay on midnight showings at an Encore Action, which is actually where I first saw it. Ultimately, it's fallen into another release hell, release limbo, because nobody's crying out for it, despite the fact that it's a fantastic film with a lot of great ideas, and it has so much star power behind it in Aramaki and Shiro. If you spot it, and you will, it's not hard to find the DVDs, it's not even that hard to find the VHS copies, give it a watch. You'll see the very genesis of one of the great duos in anime.
So, do you like spaceships? Do you like explosions? Do you like really unique mecha designs and psychic warriors piloting them? Do you want all that wrapped up in a short film with character designs by, actually I didn't even recognize because he uses his real name, Kia Asamiya, who's really only good at doing that? And are you willing to put up with a low budget, a kind of overall ho-hum story, and just some basic animation and artwork? Well, if you answered yes to all that, then Good Morning Althea is for you. Now, given the cons I talked about, you might be thinking, well, why the heck are you talking to this? And trust me, I will get to that. But the basic setup is something like 200 plus years from now, or several hundred years out from now, I should say, a 200-year-long war has just ended. You have the Earth forces, you have the Homalkafuts, or the Kafuts for short, which they say, aka the Crest race, and kind of at each other's throats in an uneasy peace. You have these cybernetic organisms they just refer to as automatons, don't worry about it. It's not important. And one thing this movie does great is it just tells you everything you need to know through context. It does so well what a lot of movies fail at, and that's it's show don't tell. It hints at a much larger universe that's just very full and very interesting. And at the end of the day, the factions are a heck of a lot easier to keep track of than a certain other sci-fi fantasy title I can think of. But we start out with our main characters. We have Garrely, who's sort of a human that's been brought in by the Crest race. He has these markings on him which give him like these crazy psychic powers. You have his sort of mentor Nikolai, which is your regular soldier. And you have your typical, you know, in hypersleep, mysterious woman who spends about the first 5 minutes of her appearance on screen naked. Basically, this whole thing is just these characters going on a mission to get themselves out of trouble in a specific sort of instance, and it's nice because it kind of just throws you in there, and it's like tosses you a line, and you're just pulled along for the ride the whole time, and that keeps you pretty interested. But here's why I want to talk about this film and why it's so important. Despite, yes, it was a short OVA. Yes, it had a low budget. The animation was okay, but neither here nor there. For those of you who watch this who also follow the BBC Top Gear series, and I know there are many of you, which is why I'm even saying this, Good Morning Althea is the Dacia Sandero of anime. Now, for the rest of you, what I mean by that is, yes, Akira, Windaria, Ghost in the Shell, Barefoot Gen, all of these great films are all everything anime can be. Good Morning Althea epitomizes, at the very least, everything that a classic anime should be. Which is this straight-faced, completely lacking in, quote, self-awareness, as Justin would say, romp, through a sci-fi fantasy world filled with psychics and robots and explosions and hot chicks. All put together pretty well, and yes, it's no Akira, it's no any other of these things, but in the end, you'll have a great time, and while its individual parts are technically better than the whole, you won't feel like you wasted your time, and it'll leave a good memory in you. Now, I want to end by saying, and I don't think any of this is going to come as a surprise to anyone, there's a very good reason, actually a series of good reasons, why Good Morning Althea is so obscure. As Justin hinted, it sounds like something that US Manga Corps would have picked up, but even they didn't touch the thing. This has never ever seen an official US release of any kind, and even fan subs of it are scarce. Only recently was a decent video quality fan sub put out. Most of it looks like VHS. There's the other two that I've seen are like VHS rips. And it's just kind of one of those, this will never ever ever be licensed in the US. I think I can say that with a fair bit of confidence, because like he said, no one's crying out for it, and no one's heard of it, and those who have are like, well, I'm good with the fan subs.
Okay, so Mike's just brought up a mediocre but interesting space epic. I'm going to bring up an interesting but phenomenal space epic that was completely bungled by ADV. Escaflowne and Legend of the Galactic Heroes blended together into one film that's a distillation of a tremendous manga that mostly occupies the back pages of the great garage kit magazines you see in Japan that advertise tons and tons and tons of phenomenally expensive resin kits. This is 5-star stories. 5-star stories is the beautiful tale, in speaking just to the film, of approximately 1 page of the manga. A little bit more than that. That's an exaggeration, but it's not far off. If you're able to track down the classic ADV release of DVD of the film, they include a great timeline of the events. And the timeline covers 2 pages. It's huge. And the events of the full feature-length film are 1 line of the timeline. That's how much material we're working with. And it's all delved into in some way or another in the film. The film introduces the world very well. And it introduces the world with gorgeous animation, beautiful character designs. If you like slightly shoujo bent to your character designs, you'll love 5-star stories. If you like mecha design that are clearly made for the advanced enthusiast model builder, you'll love 5-star stories. Especially considering I've looked into some of the garage kits that are in 35th scale or larger scales. They cost more than a car payment. They're phenomenal and they're gorgeous. And that's really the key thing to this whole franchise. Beauty, amazing stories, interesting characters. You'd think it would have been bigger. Biggest problem, very difficult to step into. If you didn't start from page 1 with the manga, page 307 is going to make no sense to you. It's very intricate. There's a lot of political backdealings and so forth. It's just like Legend of the Galactic Heroes in that regard. And the relationship intricacies are just like Escaflowne in that regard. The whole piece is also very difficult because it was geared around a showcase for all these things a creator liked to draw. Beautiful people and amazing mecha. So, if you weren't there for those things, you kind of lost the point of it. ADV thought this was going to be their Gundam fighter, basically. And they rolled out the film and were prepared to roll out the manga, and they did release a bit of it. But initial sales were so poor that they canceled everything. They poured absolutely no more money into it, just put it on the back burner. It was never license rescued. Really a shame because the initial release was perfect. It was dead on. No bothering with the dub. They didn't bother to dub the film. They didn't bother to retouch anything. Accurate translation. Great piece. And it's so obscure just because it's dense. It's thick to get into. It takes a little bit of cutting away to get to the core for you to really appreciate what you're sitting down and watching. But when you put it into the DVD player and you turn that on and you sit down and you let it all just wash over you, it is a wonderful use of an hour and a half to experience something that really no one else has pulled off. You don't get it anywhere else. And I can't tell you just how worthwhile it is to give it a try. So, of course, this time around, Mike's got a recommendation. And Mike, you've got a recommendation.
Oh, yes, yes. I am recommending an entire franchise to you that spans 2 manga series, I should say, a very good but tragically short OVA series, and provided he ever gets off his lazy keister and makes it, an upcoming James Cameron film.
Yeah. And this is a good thing, and we're going to actually slightly detour here, because we do have a few things to say about James Cameron. We like the man. The man's very good at popcorn film. And we also want to say to anyone who's thinking, oh, Avatar, a lazy knockoff film. Well, very briefly. Yeah. Mike, I think you can explain our feeling here.
Alien cat girls riding alien tigers into battle against guys piloting bionic mechs with chain guns that have bayonets. And you're calling this unoriginal?
You're calling this bad?
Yeah.
We were in the theater.
Yeah.
We saw that and we're like, well, this is what we wanted from a movie.
Yes.
So, sorry, folks. If you want to bang on about how it's Dances with Wolves, well, then you're forgetting that Dances with Wolves is actually Last of the Mohicans, which is pretty much the foundation of American fiction.
Yep.
So, too bad on that. It's just kind of what we do.
Yep.
It's
Well, also he remembered if you're going to knock something off, also make sure to knock off the quality.
Yeah. He did it well. He took the story, the basic story of American fiction, and told it in space.
Yep.
Well.
But, getting back on topic.
Yeah. And so but that's why we want this man to make a...
Battle Angel movie.
Yes.
I am recommending to you Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah. Or Gundam if
Yeah.
you're listening to the creator.
Or if you're a Japanese fan, which is even less likely, because this is actually one of those weird examples where the series is infinitely more popular stateside than it is in Japan.
It really is. That's one of the wonderful things about it.
Yep. And it deals with all of those themes that made Good Morning Althea so important, that make, a good classic anime. It basically takes place in this ruined dystopian future. Some of the most gritty, detailed manga artwork I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. The manga artwork is a monument. It's a wonderful piece. It's tremendous just how much detail. It's right up there with Berserk and Lone Wolf and Cub when it comes to detail.
Yep. And it's basically a young cyborg girl's journey of self-discovery, all painted on the backdrop of, well, much the same type of story Fist of the North Star, a martial artist wandering the wasteland.
Mm-hmm. And the initial concepts at play here of, the scrapyard below and paradise above. I mean, not as if any recent American blockbusters have dealt with those themes, but it's wonderful. It is wonderful work that tells a great story. Alita is a fun character.
Oh yeah, she's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, not the greatest, she's no Captain Harlock, of course, but no. She keeps you reading. The whole, and that's the great thing. Yukito Kishiro, the guy who wrote this, is right up there with Masamune Shirow and Kosuke Fujishima in terms of people who like mangakas who actually like to explain how their crap works.
Yes, he does. Everything has an explanation. Everything has an engineering background to it, which is just fun, really, for such an oddball creation. And he also has a lot of fun, I feel. It seems to be a big passion of his, right there along in that Katsuhiro Otomo school of thought of just every bit of detail you can put into these wastelands, these dystopian towns, this ruin of civilization.
The whole thing starts off in just this giant pile of scrap that, most of human civilizations kind of gathered around, and the main character, one of the main characters finds Alita pretty much, half dead in there, and just, you see, all the rubble he actually, because she's like the Major in Ghost in the Shell, a fully synthetic cyborg. Basically, this and head is all that's left of her, but you just see, every wire sticking out, every bit of scrap. You see rust and water stains coming down her head and stuff like that. It just fills in every bit of that, and that continues all throughout the manga until he gets to Last Order and says, F it.
Yeah, we'll have to caution you. You'll get to a point where you finish Battle Angel Alita, and then you start reading Battle Angel Alita Last Order, and he decided just to go off the rails and have as much violent fun as he could with the character, because at that point the character was a bit more of a superhero to him. And that's also cool. It's just maybe not quite as a part of what made the character interesting in the first place.
Yeah, it's not bad, but I don't know. What would we liken it to? It's
very much like I feel, the transition from Zeta to Double Zeta.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah. You get all emotionally invested in, this is the turn the world has taken.
Mm-hmm.
This is the future, and these moments of levity mean a lot in this dystopian future. And you get to this point in the timeline, and then all of a sudden it's all moments of levity.
Yeah.
The wasteland doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's really...
No, you know what we can liken it to? And I will defend these films. I don't think they were terrible. They, stand well on their own right enough. But it's like transitioning from classic Star Wars to new trilogy.
It is a bit like that, too.
Yeah. But getting into the OVA, which is both a joy and a tragedy at the same time, it's... Yes, they changed some stuff with the story and some of the characters, but all the changes worked, and were at least, I'd say, as good as the original.
Yes.
And the art style, just as psychotically detailed, amazingly well animated, great theme song, very memorable.
Oh, dear Lord. Cyborg Mermaid is wonderful. And I got the chance to, of course, see this through late-night television. And it's violent. It is quite violent. In fact, there's a particular scene with blades and a dog that I will caution you if you're uneasy about animal violence. It's really difficult to get through. So I will warn that. That is fair warning. But at the same time, amazing. And when we say it's tragic, first off, it does have a tragic love story to it.
It's definitely sad, but why it's really tragic, they didn't finish it. They didn't even get close to finishing it. And it's horrible, because for an OVA series, they did it right in terms of the pacing. Each episode was a volume of the manga. Cut and dry, neat and packaged, but not really missing anything in terms of the main story or themes. They got as far as episode 2, which sucks because, there are story arcs in the manga that span several volumes. Volume 1 and 2 was the first story arc. So you got to the end of that, and after that, Alita goes through some crazy shit that gets her into the other, phase of her story, and we never got that.
Yeah. And it was basically determined at that time that the biggest problem was that Alita wasn't cute.
Yeah.
It was right around, really, the cute revolution. I suppose we can own up to owning that term, and it's a thing. If you really look, it's right around the time Clamp was starting to hit big. It's right around the time, especially Cardcaptor Sakura, it's right around that time where colors are getting brighter, line art is getting simpler, music is getting chirpier.
Yeah. Battle Angel Alita was everything that Sailor Moon wasn't.
Yes. It was everything that Knights of Ramune wasn't.
Yeah. Basically, what they wanted was, like, just any number of replaceable cutesy schoolgirl stereotypes. What we had with Battle Angel Alita was Sarah Connor.
Yes. And it was a shame. They literally had the funding dropped right out from underneath them. So the remaining 4 episodes of OAV they planned to make were never made. And it's interesting because those 2 episodes still came to the States. The manga, of course, was distributed by Dark Horse. And we grabbed onto it here.
Well, that's, talk about personal experiences. I, first, between, grade school and, high school, I moved and, I'm in a new place, nothing to do, don't only know a couple people, so one of the first things I did was ran over to the local school library, and I noticed, this is, of course, right around, 2000, 2001, when anime was really starting to get popular here, and the library had a manga section. And one of the ones they stocked, they had the first few volumes of Battle Angel Alita. And, just what I would do is I'd run down there, I'd finish one, I'd read it over and over again, while actually listening to the Best of Anime soundtrack, which I finally bought my own copy of. Yeah, you want fun. Read Battle Angel Alita while listening to the main theme from Megazone 23. And if you already know what either of these things are, you're awesome.
Yes. And it was really a great piece for me starting out because it was actually one of the first anime themes I downloaded. If you can wrap your head around that. I loved it so much because it had just that wonderful pacing. It closed out this soulful show perfectly. And we really hope that you out there share with us what's been a great piece of our fandom, as well as a great piece of a great American director's fandom. Because James Cameron has said numerous times, I love this. I want to make a film of this as soon as I have the tools capable to make a proper film out of it. We're just of the opinion that right now he's got the proper tools.
Well, also, he kind of said, I'll make it after I do Avatar, and how long ago did Avatar come out?
At this point, it's been a couple of years, Jim.
Yep.
Jim, we're talking to you, buddy. We stand by you. We agree. More cat girls on space cougars fighting robots. Go for it. But both on our Battle Angel movie.
And seriously, yes, Battle Angel is a hard character to typecast. But you know what? Just go for it. We don't care if you can't find, a Japanese woman who looks like her. Just get Kate Beckinsale. It's close enough. Like her character in Underworld was pretty much based on Alita, at least in terms of her design.
Yeah.
Call up Kate Beckinsale. It's close enough. Bam, lead role. Make Battle Angel.
Yes. And I don't know. Who do we want as Dakito? We'll do some thinking.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. But
yeah, but I'm kind of leaning towards what's his face? That's the tall guy in the one movie.
The tall guy in the one movie. Yes.
Tall guy in the one movie. I think it was a movie that had some boobs in it, so that's why I'm spacing on that.
God damn it.
So
Anyway.
Jim, start watching movies with tall men and bare titties. Get that guy.
Yep.
He's your Dakito.
Yes, but essentially, if you want yet another violent wasteland fantasy, but this time with some cyberpunk themes, which ties several things from our last episode together.
Yeah.
Battle Angel.
Battle Angel.
Also Cyborg martial arts.
Yeah.
Matsumoto had stuff with cyborgs, I guess.
He had assloads of stuff with cyborgs.
Yeah.
So...
Matsumoto did is probably better than this, but we can't think of it right now, so...
Yeah, because we're, like, melting over here, folks.
Yeah.
Side note. Ohio in July. Maybe proof of global warming. Maybe.
Yes, but...
Or Godzilla.
Yeah, or Godzilla. So, from us here at Maison Otaku, this is Mike.
And Justin. Saying enjoy what you watch.
And share what you enjoy.
Unless it's warm Big Red.
Alien, they say it's structural perfection's match don't leave by its hostility. Even artificial persons are impressed. It preys on man. Don't need no special suit, don't need no nukes, and don't need no artillery to rip right through your chest. Aliens just stayed inside a living human host and now some concentrated acid for blood. They mostly come at night. Mostly their fate depends on whether there's an airlock, whether they're in space, and whether there's a chick who's just too fast to be cut. But the pros have come to fight. But the pros say they have to get up before 26. And you get from orbit like corporal Hanks. But they knew whoever said that there's no real monsters never battled with an alien. this is all